doing things without thinking
is
is
pointless and dumb.
Yeah, you might as well be a dog or something.
Yeah.
You know, which
Actually,
sounds pretty
sounds
good.
pretty great.
Butterscotch Hey everybody, welcome to episode 100 of Coffee with Butterscotch, the game dev comedy podcast of Butterscotch Shenanigans. I'm
There's
Seth,
many
and
episodes.
I'm the games programmer.
I'm Adam, and I'm the HTML avoider.
I'm Sam, and I do art slowly.
And today is May 30th, 2017. Before we get started, we have a warning. Anything can happen on this show. There's going to be profanity in a jovial, sort of joyous sense.
Joynanity is the name.
Joynanity. There's also going to, who knows what else we're going to talk about? We don't know. So if you got sensitive ear tubes and you don't want to get those irritants in there,
Nice.
Point them away.
Irritants.
Put your
Then
ear
nice.
tubes away.
Yeah.
So
So you,
nice. It's good. Yeah.
you can still listen to the podcast, but just make sure to point your ear tubes away from the speakers.
Also, irritants makes a good podcast title. I think we should just solve that right now.
Irritants.
Write it down.
Okay, write it down.
Perfect.
Irritants. That's the podcast where you can just screech for an hour. All right. So some things happen.
100 episodes.
That's 100 hours of us sitting in a weird dungeon.
Yeah.
Talking
Well,
to
for the
each
first
other.
30 episodes, we were remote.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Mostly laying in like a bed covered in blankets to muffle the noise.
Yeah. I would go over to Sam's house. We would both get under the covers and then
share a headpiece.
Sam would balance the microphone on a Kleenex box to try to get it closer to our faces, and then we would share share earphones.
I think we've missed an opportunity terribly by not photo documenting the stage, just kind of everything in the studio, because we have the podcast that hourly documents it, not orally, hourly.
Yeah. AUR.
Exactly. So we've got that, so people can kind of listen to what happened, but the just kind of the trajectory, because right now, I mean, yeah, we were like undercovers with these shitty microphones, and if you go back and listen to like episodes 1 through 10, that audio is absolute utter garbage. And even when we did the Podbot and put everything on YouTube, we just didn't even put up the first 28 episodes.
Yeah, we have them.
We were like,
we have them.
Nobody needs to hear this.
Yeah, the audio is just bad, and so again, you can kind of feel that, right? But there's not a picture of us like in our two different states under different covers with shitty microphones, like doing this, and then where we are now, where we're in still clearly a dungeon. But
we're in
nice dungeon.
We're in the storage
got
room of a basement right now.
but we're now surrounded by
Moving
cloth,
blankets.
it's like moving blankets, which actually look all right.
We got our
these,
$10
nice
card table now, so we've moved up from the Kleenex box.
but with real microphones that are just on these little robot arms pushed into our mouths. It's like
Times have changed. Times have changed. Yeah, this is the problem now, because we have the robot arms on the microphones, but they are easy to bang. So sometimes you'll hear somebody whack one in an episode.
We'll gesticulate a lot, so it's kind of problematic. But.
Yeah. So also in like radio stations, they have those mics that hang down from the ceiling.
That's probably why. So people can
yeah.
freely gesticulate without worrying about it.
So that's
we
kind of
need some of those next.
Yeah, the future is a legit.
Podcast
That's
studio.
for episode 200, we need to have robot microphone arms hanging from the ceiling.
That'll be what, in 2 years?
2 years, yeah. And in
Wow.
episode 300, so 4 years from now, we will be robots and the microphones will be people.
Yeah, that's right.
Gross.
So we had to celebrate the 100th episode, we hosted the Butterscotch Shenana Jam, which was last weekend, and holy crap!
Oh my gosh,
that was
quite
awesome.
a thing.
Yeah. All right. So a game jam, 48-hour event. We release a theme on Friday evening, and everybody has 48 hours, or in this case, we put it up to 50 hours and 10 minutes for people to turn that theme into a game and a fully playable game, and then try to release it for public consumption. We hosted the jam through itch.io, and which made it really easy for us to manage everything, because thankfully they have all these systems for game jams on there. And now the rating period is happening. So to recap the stats, we had about 380. How many people signed up?
Yeah,
to
380. It kind of, once it hit that point, it just kind of went like slightly up and down for the duration.
Yeah. So we were let's see, on right before the last day, we had 290 something people. And then on the last day before, almost 100 people jumped in, which was crazy. We got huge help from Yo-Yo Games. They posted our
the makers of Game Maker
The
Studio.
makers of Game Maker Studio, who that's what we use to make our games. They posted the jam on their splash screen, basically of Game Maker Studio. So everybody using Game Maker Studio 2 got to see, a link to the jam and stuff. So that was super helpful.
We also
big shout out to them.
We did post the jam around a little bit on various other sites and stuff. So it was
Yeah.
on TigSource, and did you put it in one of the subreddits?
I put it in the Game Dev subreddit and the Game Maker subreddit.
Mm-hmm.
We weirdly didn't. We tried to get itch.io to feature it on the front page, and they didn't. They featured 4 other jams.
Oh, did they?
They were happening around the same time, but they didn't feature ours.
They were all
Next
way
time.
smaller.
Next time.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, those guys are crushing it so hard they don't even need help.
Maybe we were just
it was a big dang jam.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And so 132 games got submitted.
Yeah.
Which our hope was to get at least 50. That was kind of our bar for like, well, if this is a successful jam, we'll get 50 games out of it. Which was, again, it's an arbitrary number, but it just felt like a good target.
And it's also comparing kind of to local jams that we've been in and the stuff that we've participated in. It just kind of feels like once you get, there's sort of a critical mass where it starts to become actually difficult to see all of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know
It's around
like,
50.
Yeah, it's around 50. That's when you know you've done something awesome because
Yeah.
you've actually produced more stuff than a person can even handle.
Yeah.
Which
And
is really
Ludo,
cool.
and for reference, so like the Global Game Jam, which is, I believe, the largest game jam period.
Probably, yeah.
That happens every January, and something like 20,000 people participate. So we have a ways to go to hit that.
Before we hit
Yeah.
that
But
side.
I think something like 6,000 or 8,000 games come from the Global Game Jam every year. So we're not there yet. And then there's also Ludum Dare, which is a pretty regular game jam that has usually, I think they're nowadays pushing like 800 to 1,000 submissions per Ludum Dare, but they're on they're around number 40, as in like they've done the event 40-ish times.
Yeah.
So this was our first ever Shenana Jam. So I think 132 games is a
That's incredible.
pretty dang good number.
Yeah, so it's super exciting too because I think our goal was and our thought was that we wanted to make it feel like a good community event. To compete for a cat.
Don't worry about it. I got it.
So we wanted to make it feel like a good community event because the biggest sort of hurdle oftentimes to starting off in games is having a crew of people who kind of can support you. And so we were really trying to funnel everybody into the Discord channel. And luckily most people actually did go into the Discord channel. And so
We had
if you would-
250 people in there.
yeah, so if you'd pop in there was just this constant stream of either people being like, look what I made, or like, hey, can you I have this programming problem. I can't figure out how this collision's happening. And everyone's just helping each other out. And big shout out to Giant Muskrat, one of our people who was not able to participate in the jam, but sort of to compensate, he was, if people sent him a direct message, he would send them money through Venmo to go buy snacks. So he was basically, he's like buying food,
buying pizza for people
yeah.
and stuff.
So like all these like things that we did not plan at all, start happening, coming out of it. And there's a bunch of audio and sound people who worked with multiple teams, as they often do. Seemed like they were having a good time. So actually watching that Discord was honestly, it was very inspiring to see because we found out that 52% of the people who participate in this jam, at least of the survey respondents, this was their first one.
Yeah.
And so to walk into a jam community that is just so nice and so helpful.
And we only had to ban one person.
Right as the jam started.
Right as the jam was started. And here's the great thing though. And there's kind of this weird like redeeming thing, which was this person jumped in the Discord and just decided to start throwing, just spamming. So just throwing reaction emojis on every single thing that everybody said, which just clutters up the Discord and makes it hard to parse things and whatever.
Distracting and annoying.
It's really distracting and annoying. And it's just somebody just sort of like coming into the community and just like dumping crap on everybody. So I
requested once that they stop, and they just did it to my post, and so that was
then they're
like,
banned.
oh no, you didn't.
yeah.
So again, it's kind
That's
of
not the game that we play.
Yeah, it's kind of we just aren't gonna put up with that because it's our Discord and we don't want it to suck. So we just insta banned this person. But the best part was then this person was the first person to submit a game for the jam. So they actually still participated in the jam.
quickly too. I think it was the next early the next day.
And
or
the
something.
game they made was you play as them. As that person, you're in a Discord server trying to spam everybody
without getting banned.
Or no, sorry, the opponent, the villain of the game is that person,
Right?
Spamming emojis, and it's like a bullet hell. Like emojis are flying everywhere,
Bunch of eggplants.
and then
flying
you
around.
play as a little message that's like ban this person,
Right.
and you're trying to navigate your way through stay alive as long as possible and navigate through the bullet hell of
It was
emojis.
pretty hilarious.
I was like, respect.
Yeah. Right.
I like
Did we unban him as a consequence? Or?
No.
Okay.
So lost your privileges. But yeah,
No, that's gone. That's done.
So it was really interesting to see that, more than half of the people, at least that we can tell, were first timers, and that's awesome to us.
Mhm.
And I think the community aspect was great. And
Well, and we tried to make the jam really, new person friendly by providing lots of materials ahead of time, providing a document that kind of tells you how to do a game jam successfully, try to help people kind of get their mind framed around what they were doing.
the reality, of course, and we've talked about this before, is that until you've done one, or until you've done really anything, you don't ever have the context necessary to even get instruction about it beforehand.
Yeah.
So my guess is if those of you who this was your first jam, if you actually go back and read over the docs now, especially the how to jam document, most of it will make a lot more sense than it probably did at the start.
Yeah, we had a few people in the Discord say, or in the follow-up survey that we sent out, basically saying something along the lines of, I really like that you guys took the time to reiterate all these things, but I ignored most of it, and now I know exactly why you said it, right? Because again, you got to make your own mistakes.
you got to do it.
So,
Right. So the other interesting thing was that about 62% of our people ended up being solo, which is, I think actually even more incredible, because it's like doing your first jam is a lot.
Yeah.
Doing it completely by yourself is also, and I think that's where the role of the community comes in, because you don't actually feel like you're on a team of one. It's just like this huge ball of Shenana jammers building tons of cool shit.
yeah. And it's easy to fall off the wagon too. If you're by yourself, making a game by yourself for a whole weekend and nobody cares, nobody's talking to you, you're just alone. If you just stop working on it, then whatever.
Who's going to know?
Right.
Yeah, but if you start talking to people and then when you wake up in the morning, you can see what other people have made and you can post what you've been working on and people give you feedback and you're part of something.
Well, speaking of waking up in the morning, so we did try to stress that people actually sleep. And it looks like people did. So most people slept between 6 and 8 hours.
Yeah.
And
Per night.
And the 8-hour bucket was actually the highest one. So
Actually, 6, 7, and 8 were all very high, and
It's
which
possible,
is
right?
all reasonable amounts of sleep. But there were some
there were some low ones
who did not sleep.
Yeah.
It's
Most
possible that there's a selection bias because the people who didn't sleep
Are dead.
died, and then they couldn't fill out the
There's
survey
also that.
afterwards.
Yeah, survivorship bias.
Yeah, so it's a literal survivorship bias.
But also, though, we didn't compensate for the fact that, because it is also true that we collected stats on how many hours people spent working on the jam, right? And that was across the spectrum, like crazy across the spectrum. Right? I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting people to put in most of their weekend into it, but that really people did, of course, but there were people that went all the way from basically 1 hour all the way to something really stupid like 40 hours.
Yeah. We had a few people pop in on the last day and they were like, oh, this is happening. And then they threw together.
Right. So some of those
2 hour
people who
game.
said that they didn't sleep may only have not slept for one night, or might not even have worked on it for a day. You know? So those numbers are probably a little hard to understand.
And we did. The truth is, life doesn't stop. You mitigate. We've talked about, being able to mitigate it as much as possible during sort of jam season, so you can focus. But we had, I think I took 2 naps because I was just really tired from my shingles.
We also went to a barbecue.
We went to barbecue on Sunday. Our mom came over for lunch on Saturday.
One of my friends popped by to say hello.
Yeah.
On Saturday also.
So
Sure's fiance came by for a while.
Yep.
So we actually had a lot of
just
things.
dropping in. Yeah. Well, this is an interesting side effect of having a larger team, where it's a double-edged sword. Where the more teammates you have, the more likely one of them is going to have some kind of an interruption during the weekend.
So your team has to be able to operate with everybody fairly independent.
But on the flip side, if you have a small team, if one of your 2 people has an interruption, then half your team is gone, right? So
no
it's
redundancy.
kind of a mixed bag.
So, but speaking of teams, though, I think Adam had a really good idea. We always do postmortems after these jams, and the interesting thing here is that we did a postmortem not just about our game that we made, which, by the way, is awesome. It's called Snuppy Rustling. If you go to our HIO page, you can find it up there.
Yeah, we're pretty proud of it.
And we pushed ourselves really hard because we're working with our team of 6, which again is against what we tell people to do.
Yeah, we broke most of the rules that we gave to everybody.
We decided to make a multiplayer card battling game, which is
very turn-based.
Which again, the slower the gameplay, the more design and programming work has to go into it. So also broke the rules in that regard. But we've done a few of these, We figured we could probably maybe do it.
Yeah. Well, the reason we set out those rules of, make a small game, make an action game, blah, 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 is that for most people, so we believe that a jam is to find your limits and for you to understand what's possible for you to do. And we've done enough of these jams that we know that, you know, for us, because as professional game developers who do this every day, making a, you know, small action game, sort of like an asteroids game or something, that's going to be done in the first half hour. So we need to find our own limits, you know, and push things to stupid levels.
And so it's kind of like having rules for, you know, writing, right? It's like the rules of grammar, the rules of how to compose a paragraph, all that kind of stuff is there for a reason, which is once you understand that, then you also know how to break it. Then you know how to start breaking the rules and doing things, because then you can do it in a way that people understand what it is that you tried to do, instead of thinking, oh, you just don't know how to write.
Yeah. So you start with a lot of structure so that you aren't flailing. You know?
Well, it's interesting to me because this is actually the first jam that I participated in that was a larger team, because the last one that the team did was the Dragoons one.
That was five people.
That was 5 people, but I wasn't on that team. I was gone that weekend.
Yeah.
So this is my first time actually getting to participate, and it was 6 people total. And so there's managing people, there's providing enough information for someone to actually go do the thing that you need them to do. There's like team leadership stuff that actually happens.
Art style.
Yeah, which is before, when it was just Seth and I, literally no facet of any of those things were happening.
Yeah,
so
it's impossible to have an inconsistent art style with one artist.
Well,
because like that artist is going to just make whatever they make, and it's probably going to fit.
Right. So we did a few things that worked really, really well. But I think the interesting thing being that since, you know, half the people is their first jam and like 60% of people that were just on a team of 1, Adam came up with the idea when we were doing our post-mortem, not just about our game, which again is good, called Snuppy Wrestling, but about the actual jam itself. We said, okay, how can we do this better next time? And we looked through the survey responses that we got, and a lot of people sort of expressed some interest in finding a teammate. And it's clear that everybody's essentially very competent, right? When you made a freaking game in 2 days by yourself. So he put 2 of those people together, a lot of fun. But the question is, how do you match people?
Yeah.
So
because your team absolutely makes or breaks a jam.
And this is what we found. The reason we don't like the structure of something like the global game jam is actually because of the fact that most people arrive and find a team on arrival. Yeah. And so as a result, you don't know who you're getting involved with. You actually oftentimes don't even know what their skill level is. You don't know if you actually vibe with them at all. Yep. And so that aspect actually makes the game jam for you.
Yeah. I think the information asymmetry, people don't want to be rude. Right? Yeah. So they don't want to say, have you ever made a game before? Because it kind of sounds like a pointed question.
And,
you know?
and how capable are you really? Right? Yeah. You know, so you get a sense, because these don't have to be judgmental. This is all about understanding what your constraints are, right? Because if you have a first time artist or a first time programmer or first time anybody, or even somebody who's just been doing it for, because to become a master of your craft, you got to do it for a long, long time. And so there's an enormous spectrum of capability, and it doesn't actually matter where you are on that spectrum.
It just matters that everybody knows.
But everybody needs to know because those are constraints. And again, it's not bad. It's important to always remember that it's not bad.
But people coming into a team, especially with a group of strangers, they don't know how that's going to be taken. Exactly. And so they tend to not say anything. Then people on the other team assume skill levels.
You only find out by hitting people's failure points.
Yeah.
That's
and then those are big agitation.
But there's another interesting problem though, which is that you also can't really evaluate your own skill level, because context is important, right? You've never experienced the context of being more skillful than you are, right? And so you only know where you are relative to things that are less skillful than you, but you don't truly understand where you are relative to things that are more skillful.
So if you say I'm a really good programmer, and then maybe that's true relative to some people, and maybe it's false relative to other people, you know. And who knows what that means?
Exactly. And it's actually a very tricky problem to get around, because it also then makes people feel like there was kind of false advertising, right? If you come in and you're like, I'm a super good Unity programmer or something, and somebody's like, can we make this thing move? And you're like, oh shit, I don't know how to do that. and again, it doesn't mean you were lying. It just means you didn't understand the full context of what it means.
So one of the things we want to do and actually provide for this next one that we think would be really fun is a Jam Buddy tool.
The next one, which means there will be a next one.
So the response was just extremely positive. It seems like you guys really, really loved participating and loved essentially, working alongside us, but at a distance because of the internet. And we think we had basically everybody who did the jam. I think there's only one person in the whole pool who was like, I don't want to do this again. Yeah. Everybody else,
which is fair. It's a lot. It's a big thing to do.
Yeah, it's a big thing to do. About a third of the people said it was, like one of the best things they've literally ever done. About a third was like, this is incredible. And then the other third was like, this is about average for a game jam.
I like to imagine that when we sent out the survey, because one of the options was, or the question was, how do you view the game jam? And then You could say it was the best experience of my life, or it was good, or it was average,
Or the worst experience
or the
of my
worst experience of my life. I like to imagine we send this out, and then somebody who like has a kid or something, and then they saw the question of it was the best experience of my life.
Oh, they're looking at the
They're
child.
They're looking at it, they're just like,
It's anonymous. It's okay.
it's anonymous. So
Yeah, but I think it was really fun to see everybody participating, and we're still going over all the survey data to kind of figure out what to do. But the Jam Buddies tool is a big piece of sort of what we want to put together for the next one. And it looks like from the survey respondents, people were looking for one of these to happen between every 4 and 6 months. Mm-hmm. So likely what we'll do is pick the outer limit of that, because we want these to make sure that they need to be actually irregular enough that they're still exciting to do. That's one thing we've noticed, and we've launched a lot of games, and coming back from GDC one year, Seth and I embarked on a quest to make a game every Monday and launch it. And we did for 4 Mondays. The first one got a ton of press. Everyone's like, wow, Butterscotch is doing some stuff. And the second
especially
one,
that we also made it known that we made the game in a day. People are like, whoa.
Yeah. And the second one, people were like, oh, that's cool. And the third one, people were like, I don't care anymore. You're drowning me in games. Shut up.
I'm still playing the last two.
So we need to make sure that it's infrequent enough, but that it's easy for us to manage. Because it did absorb basically last week across the board. And then infrequent enough that it's just a really exciting thing. So we'll do the Jam Buddies thing. We'll do it probably in 6 months or so.
We do have a website called Butter Buddies.
We bought that?
We bought it. At some point, we invented that word, and we were like, we don't know what to do with this, but we like it.
But we need it.
We could use Butter Buddies.
So that could be the team finding service.
Yeah.
The question is if we want to have this be available for jams in general or just for
Butter Buddies.
It's like the Match.com of the Shenana Jam.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out what would be good. How do we?
Because we also own Shenanajam.com, right? So we could also just do everything there.
Probably
That could be the place.
Yeah.
But Butter Buddies. Is
but I will say the in the future, organizing this thing will be far easier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because we had to write up all this documentation, all these how-to guides, come up with the format for the video, all this stuff. Now we know.
All on brand new equipment we hadn't used before.
Yeah. So
which is why you can see some of the fucked up green screen in a lot of the videos.
You just embraced it.
I did take a picture. So the weird thing about the video and the green screen and stuff is, it's super cheesy and really like clearly kind of thrown together, but I don't know if people fully realize the extent of how like amateurish our setup is, because we had
send that picture out.
I'm gonna send a picture out, but I mean, we had the camera sitting on a cardboard standing desk. We had just a bunch of lights kind of like thrown into this.
Well, the best one is that one of the lights we couldn't get far enough back because the setup for the filming is right next to the podcast setup, and as a result, there's a huge moving blanket hanging from the ceiling between the two
to dampen sound.
And it was the blanket so heavy that it was pushing over one of the lights. So we were like, we need to tie this thing up. We're like, what do we have on hand? And we look around and there's just an HDMI cable. So we tied a moving blanket to the light pole with an HDMI cable. Mm-hmm. You guys don't even know it's a duct tape canoe.
I mean, so
we're operating real fancy.
Well, so I mean, here we are talking about like, oh, ha ha ha, our podcast. We used to do it in a bed, with a Kleenex box, and it's like, well, that's basically where we're still there.
Yeah. Well, that's the point. It's like, we've moved ahead enormously, but we're still just running I don't know.
Well, so I think there's a few other cool changes that we want to do based on some feedback. So one that we came up with was the idea of having coffee time each day.
Coffee time.
So because no one was actually, only a few people use the VoIP channels, voice channels in Discord. And there was no sort of structured way for people to be able to just like hop in and meet people.
Well, it's also, a lot of people doing this are pretty shy, and they're meeting only new people. And so, it's really
so we were like, well, how can we find something that would provoke sort of like a fun, interesting structure that was very brief window, like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
For example, on Saturday and Sunday, it'd be 30 minutes in the middle of the day where we would all just hop into
stop working on your game.
Not even stop working, just hop in VoIP and hang out for a little bit.
Have some coffee.
And just to chat, because I think that was one of the other things is that people had such a good time meeting people and interacting with the community. Mm-hmm. And I think any way we can sort of bring that up a little bit more with the tools available, we should.
Yeah.
Coffee time, of course, comes from our farm background, where like 3 times during the day, the farmers all come in for coffee time.
Just like tons of brownies.
Because at 10 o'clock in the morning, they've all put in a full 8-hour workday, and they're like, it's time for a short break, and they go and have a cup of coffee, and then they go out for another 8 hours.
Right.
Yeah. So you get carbs and coffee. There's another issue that we got to figure out how to deal with, which we haven't talked about yet, and we won't really hear, but it's just kind of an interesting one, which is this fucking time zone problem.
Yeah.
Because it was awesome that we had people from just literally everywhere, which is it was very cool. But because the social aspect is just so key to have everybody having a really good experience, but that's so negatively impacted by the time zone differences that there might not be like any real solution to that. But
The solution might just be to get it big enough that it doesn't matter.
that might be it. Yeah. So that
Because
there's
if we have
always a
enough
bunch of people.
Australians, then they can carry us through the night.
Yeah, and actually, and largely, we kind of got away with that a little bit. There was kind of always a good
few people.
couple dozen people that were not necessarily all chatting, but at least were there and could reply and see what people.
Well, this reminds me of, I don't know why, but this reminds me of how, so in EVE Online is a worldwide game.
Yeah.
About 20,000, well, probably about 40,000 people play it on any given day. But of course, everybody's all over the place. So there's this kind of joke that if you got 10 kills during a day, during like any given day, as somebody in the US time zone, it's like, meh, But if you get a kill as an Australian, you like the best fucking player in the whole game, right? Because there's nobody on. You got to find people.
Right.
So yeah.
You gotta go hunting.
Yeah.
So I think a few of the things we would do, a few people had trouble with how to do the itch page stuff.
Yeah.
Which we should have foreseen, but kind
Well,
of
yeah, because I
forgot
mean,
about.
it was the case that most of our people were first time.
Yeah. So it's
Submitters
basically
and-
most people's first time getting an itch account.
Yeah.
And then putting the game up there, and then also you have to submit the game to the jam.
And then we also required a video, which I don't think any other event really does. And so I know that it seemed like most people understood why it is we did that and actually liked that fact, but a few were pretty dang salty about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
But having
now
having
they're
some
okay. They
they're
did
okay,
it now.
yeah.
So.
Well, that was the thing is the reason why we did it is so yesterday I put together a spreadsheet which I shared in the Discord, so you can find it pinned there. But I put together a spreadsheet of everyone's jam games there. So the rating page, the name of the game, I totally just lost my train of thought.
what, like a link to it or something?
And a link to the thing. Oh yeah, and the link to the video. That was it. So just scraped all that stuff off of the web. And so yesterday I just nestled down, got my cat on my lap, and I pulled up that spreadsheet, and I just went through video after video after video to get a sense of every game. And there's 130 games on this list, right?
A lot.
I got through 60 of them in about half an hour,
right?
Because we said make a video, it has to be less than 2 minutes. And of course, most people's videos, because it's just like some gameplay, they didn't have time. They also have never done it before. They don't know how to think about it. Most of the videos were still far longer than they need to be at 2 minutes. So I could just kind of skip ahead and find out all the details. And so I was able just to blow through this list, and I'll actually be able to visit every game.
Yeah.
I'll be able to see
all of them.
every game
Right.
that got submitted, which is awesome because normally in a jam, because you just submit an executable, that means I would have to go install 120 games.
Download it, find it in your downloads folder,
Yeah,
open it.
there's
play
not a
through it.
chance in hell I'm going to spend the time to do that, or importantly, that anybody else is, right?
Yeah.
And so by doing this, you actually get to have people play your game, or not
The other-
necessarily play it, but see what you've
Yeah.
accomplished.
The other nice thing about it is that, we, for this launch video this year, we put together a bunch of clips of our jam games from the past. Now, next year, we can put a bunch of clips together of people's jam games from this year.
Yeah.
For that
Yep.
little
So
interview.
for the next video, we can say, let's take a look at some of the games
At
that
the
came
last
out of the
Shenana
last
jam,
Shenana
right?
jam.
So that'd be really fun.
Throw some dubstep on
Yeah,
there.
and I think
Yeah.
basically having a how to itch upload, a how to do the video upload for YouTube would be super nice because it took us 4 minutes to do that, and we did it at 6:50. By the way,
Yeah, we were
we were cutting that real
We were
close.
down to the wire.
But we used XSplit, which is why I
6:50
was
as in
screaming.
10 minutes before.
Yeah,
submission.
everyone was like, the audio was really blown out on this. I was yelling, and the mic was right next to me. I was like, good. Time passed.
Yeah.
We also, we didn't take any time because also it was just not an appropriate mic for that. We just didn't take any time at all. We're just like,
We need a
grab
video.
a mic, make a video, and then upload it.
What's important is that people see the game.
Yeah.
It was
So-
it was uploaded 1 minute before the submission time ran off. So it was really funny because we had entertained the idea of extending the deadline a little bit anyway for other people because there was a handful of people who we knew were going to
They're
were
first-timers,
there
so-
and they were
right.
first timers, but they just needed another few minutes basically. And we weren't really sure. And then all of a sudden, we were one of those people who almost needed it too because we just got so down to the wire.
The game that we made for this thing, I just want to reiterate, it broke every rule.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
we'll get back to Snuppy's in a
Yeah.
second. But yeah, so we ended up extending the deadline by 10 minutes,
Mhm.
which I think helped another 15 games get in,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then after that, Itch conveniently has a feature where you can add people's games to the jam. So in other words, if you miss the deadline, you can just send us a note and then we can manually add you. So I ended up adding another 15 games from that. That happened like another 20 minutes or so later.
Right.
So
well, and I think that's an important point is if you're running a jam yourself and want to have it be friendly to people who've never done it before, right?
Don't be a dick about it.
Don't be a dick about it. Yeah, just Just because, but don't tell people, yeah, the deadline is actually 10 minutes later than it is, because people will always get down to the wire, right? Just be like, oh yeah, it turns out you have an extra 10 minutes to submit. Because I mean, it was amazing because out of 130 games, right?
That ends up being
30 of them
came
were
after
within
the
half an hour of a 50-hour deadline, right?
Well, and I think there's a thing we should mention in the future for people is that you can continue to upload new versions of your game after it's been submitted to the jam. So that means
it's not a hard, we're not doing like a hard.
Yeah, who
deadline.
cares? You know, the point is to make a game in a weekend.
Yeah, so that's the reason that the timer is there. And there were a lot of people talking about like whether or not it was fair to do it, because they were trying to decide like, should I upload updates? You know, and like these are your things.
Just do what
well, and
you
our
want.
take on it
these
too is like
games.
we're generally just so excited that so many people made games. So if you want to take some more time to do it, like that's the point.
That's even better.
That's
I think it's the thing to understand is that the point is not the jam.
Yeah.
The jam is the vehicle by which you make cool games.
And the reason that the jam is time limited is because you need that time limitation. You need that to be able to prove to yourself that you can actually make a thing in that short.
So the
time.
jam is kind of like the wedding, and then, but that's just the gateway to the rest of your life. You know,
jams are a gateway drug.
yeah.
Kind of like weddings.
But the rest of your life is a marriage between you and the game you just made.
the only other thing that we probably change for next time is I think we'll keep a spread of themes, but actually reduce the number.
I think just like 5 themes.
Yeah, this is one of the primary requests was, and we don't want to do just one because we like having that variability. But I think paring it down to just a couple, that way,
it was too many.
That way you just have like everybody's on some theme that other people are sharing. Because some people were the only people who got a theme. A bunch of us somehow got the Sling and a Banhammer one. I don't know if it's people re-rolling. That was the first one we got.
There was a lot of re-rolling too.
I think it's an enticing one just because it's like
it's very action.
Yeah, one thing that we've learned from doing so many jams is that themes that are focused around an object or around an action or both are really easy to work with.
Yeah,
you know. So if you have a jam that's
it reduces brainstorming time enormously.
So if you have a jam theme that's just like feelings.
Yeah,
and you're just like, shit, what am I? This could be literally anything, you know?
Yeah.
It's not a constraint.
And I'll also just sort of add on to this idea that, you know, you've now made a thing that's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. That doesn't mean that you should necessarily, though. I think this is an important thing. This is whether you're talking about the Shenana Jam or just the own stuff that you're making, if you didn't do it, or just anything that isn't even a game. It doesn't matter what it is always remember why you did a thing, right? The jam is basically to prove that you can, and to practice and to experiment and to do that kind of stuff. It's actually not about making a commercial product.
About learning your limits.
It's about learning your limits, and because you're under such tight time constraints, you're going to do a lot of things, you know, dumbly or hackily or whatever, just to get through it. And again, the purpose wasn't to make a commercial product. And so I know, and have had this happen to us as well, and we see this happen all the time, is when people complete a jam or complete really any project, the first thing they ask is, okay, how can I publish this thing now?
Right.
You know,
it's like sometimes you just need to not.
Yeah. So consider, and again, this isn't a negative thing.
It's don't double down on a mistake just because you spent a lot of time making it.
Right. Which is to say this is a mistake, right? But it is important to think like there's a reason this exists. It is rough. It's guaranteed to be rough. And that's fine. And it's fine to not have to publish a thing that you made. It's fine, and in fact important, to make lots of things experimentally and then just throw them away and never look at them again. Because those are experimental. Those are for you to learn from. And it's putting too much pressure on the thing and on yourself to try to make that thing be a product.
If you do accidentally make a game during a game jam that seems commercially viable, then by all means go for it.
Yeah.
But
there's a good chance you should just remake it.
Yeah. So speaking of commercially viable games, Snuppies.
What about Snuppies?
So this game jam, I mean, it was funny because we made that intro video, right? Where we're like, all right, so most of our games will come out of game jams. We find them to be transformative, blah, 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 blah. I know it just sounds like we're kind of pontificating a little bit. Which we were, but from experience.
But also, it's true.
So conveniently, we made Snuppies over the weekend. And people played the crap out of it and enjoyed it. I think we've had 140 games played-ish.
140 total online sessions.
Yeah. So you can hop and queue for multiplayer. If there's someone else in there, you'll get paired up.
Well, importantly, that's out of about 50 players, but they get paired.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like 6-ish game sessions per person who's played the game on average. Which is pretty good.
Pretty good. We learned a ton doing it. And, you know, we were looking at our current sort of slate of projects, which have been all secret. And we were like, you know what? This Snuppies thing, this is fun. Let's do the Snuppies. And people were asking Discord immediately. They're like, are you guys going to finish this?
Keep working on this thing?
Yeah, we are actually. So the whole Butterscotch ship is now building Snuppy.
We're We're riding the Snuppy train to Snuptown.
Yeah. So I know you thought this Shenana Jam was for you. It's for us.
Yeah.
Ha! Ha ha! We got you. So we found.
But hopefully you found it as transformative as we did.
Yeah. So I think that's an interesting thing. Is, it's one thing to have someone get up and talk to you about like, oh yeah, running a marathon is so incredible. It like changes your life. But if it doesn't change your life every time, then who cares? So,
plus when you run a marathon, it changes your life because now your knees don't work anymore.
So your nipples are super
and your
abrased.
nipples are just shooting blood everywhere like a fire hydrant.
Pro tip: put some band-aids on them first.
And after,
and probably
because they're
after.
bleeding.
Yeah, so we're turning around to build out Snuppies and quickly. So
so who knows, but
embracing the jam mindset, we're just going to go for it. We're not going to provide updates to it on the itch page because now it's a thing.
That is the archived original Snups.
Mm-hmm. So for those of you who participated this weekend and didn't get to play it, thanks because you inspired us to build the thing. And
honestly though, I mean, it was so many people started playing it that we had to make a new channel in our Discord because it was taking over the Shenana Jam channel. People just like trash talking each other, which was amazing. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it has online multiplayer. So
Yeah, the one thing I would say, if we're going to make any update at all, there's exactly one, which is to make it so that you can have a private match with somebody.
Yeah.
Because it's already ready to go. We just didn't have the UI part added. Because if once we do that, then we can just let it sit there. We can leave the server running because it's really cheap. And people can go just play with each other whenever they want to.
And we're not going to make a free-to-play deck building game.
Nope.
Just so you know, it's not what it's going to turn into. So don't even put us in that box. Not interested.
I mean, in my professional opinion, fuck everything about that. So
I like your opinion, Seth. Yeah, so I think that's the round out of the Shenana Jam. So thanks to everybody who participated. It was an incredible weekend. And again, shout out to Yo-Yo Games for giving people keys to Game Maker
yeah,
Studio
that was
2,
amazing.
and blasting the message out, and Giant Muskrat for feeding people.
I also want to say, speaking of this whole like next game thing, so Touch Arcade wrote an article about the Shenana Jam, and I was reading through it and I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. Mm-hmm. Touch Arcade wrote an article about this. Mm-hmm. And then at some point in there, they were like, do you think we're going to witness history? Do you think we're going to witness the birth of the next game?
Oh shit.
And I read that and I was like,
we already have other plans.
I was like, we got so many things going on right now. No, I was wrong. So
there you go.
Good on you, Eli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a new story for you. Got Snuppies in it.
All right. So that was great. Shenana Jam was awesome.
Also, I'm very tired.
I am also very
tired. Yesterday I slept in and then I just kind of zombified.
Well, I woke up and ran a 5K with Fat Bard.
I kind of wish I had done that.
And actually, it got me going. So I was a storm of energy for about 4 hours and then basically a zombie.
Yeah.
By noon.
So it's a good tip though. Post jam run.
We did get sub 30 minute 5Ks though. Both of us.
It's good.
Is that good?
I think even when I was a cross country folk back in school, I think sub 30 was like my best ever, even though I was running for like 10 miles a day.
At that time, sub 30 was my nickname. But it was because you were
under the age of 30.
And also
so
the age of 30.
That was your defining characteristic at that time.
Yeah.
Literally the only thing anybody knew about me, actually.
Sub 30.
I'm Adam. I'm under 30 years old.
You would like
That's
that.
it. That's my whole jam. All right. So we're going to get to some questions. I got a question for you guys.
What?
Are you down for doing like an extra 10, perhaps 15 minutes?
I can go extra half hour.
Podcast.
This is the 100th
episode.
We had originally said it was going to be a 100-minute episode.
That's an hour 40. So that's an hour from now.
Let's go.
That's also going to be pushing us really to the limits of what the Podbot can do, because the video that you made for it
is about an hour 40 minutes.
Is about an hour 40 minutes.
We're going to get under that.
So we'll go maybe an hour 33-ish minutes.
Let's put it just like we did the Shenana Jam. Just go right.
All right. Just ride that line. Wait, is it actually like exactly an hour 40 minutes?
About, yeah.
That video?
Yeah. And it has an added problem, which you viewers might notice, is that video was actually made in Game Maker.
Yeah.
So like it's actually a game project in Game Maker that we just recorded
for an hour.
And that flop rocket that appears in the background, it spawns an instance of this flop rocket, which then flies away, and it has like a particle trail and everything, and it's perpetually scaling up and stuff,
so that it looks like it's coming.
So it looks like it's coming toward the screen. Those flop rockets never despawn, and so every 30 seconds a new one gets created, and then they fly off screen, and they're literally still flying
and getting bigger.
Yeah, they're getting bigger. They're scaling up constantly, and so like
and deploying particles.
They're constantly emitting particles. And so for a straight 90 whatever for minutes. This game every 30 seconds is spawning. So there's like 180 flop rockets flying through space by the time this video is done.
How big is the biggest one?
What's
What's the growth rate?
enormous.
I think they're scaling up by like 100%.
Like compound interest style?
No, it's additive.
Okay.
So they're scaling up by 0.1.
I was going to say, is there ever a point where if it flies for long enough that it gets
gets
so big
bigger?
that it overtakes the screen?
That it comes back onto the screen. I don't think so. So yeah, it'll scale up by like 100% about every probably like 5 seconds.
By 100% every 5 seconds.
Yeah. By 100%
of its
compound,
original
additive,
size.
Yeah, by 0.1. Yeah. So there's some big ass flop rockets. And I think if you notice some frame rate decays, that's what's happening. It's the flop rocket. All right. Let's get on to some questions. These questions come from podcast.bscotch.net. They're asked by our Bscotch ID users, our friendly neighborhood Bscotchides. Or some of them are anonymous, which is fine. You know, whatever you want to do that's your thing. Whatever. All right.
Oh yeah, actually, before we get into it, though, we should probably tell people how to like look at the games in Shenana Jam and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Just go to itch.io/jam/bscotch100, which is named after our 100th episode.
Yeah.
Check those out.
Go play those games. I think if you're part of the jam, you can also rate other people's.
If
stuff.
you're listening to this podcast in the future, just go to shenanajam.com because probably in the future, that's where that will just be.
Yeah. How far in the future though? Because I don't really want to do that right now.
Well,
You're talking like a year or something.
I'm talking around the time of the next Shenana
Okay, sure.
Jam.
That sounds good.
Because we'll probably do this then. So, all right. So our first question comes from Dark Silverhawk, which is
Intense.
dope. It's a dope ass name. Have you gained any knowledge from organizing a large game jam that you think is worth sharing?
I think.
So what about the actual
did.
organizing part?
We already did.
Well, man, yeah, I think we talked about it. Right?
Although, yeah,
Well,
if we
itch.io,
summarize it though,
great.
Yeah.
Use itch.io if you're going to organize a large.
But it has some limitations, but not nearly enough to offset all of its benefits. So just do that.
And there's one other thing, which is keep the opening ceremony of the jam short as fuck.
Yes.
And to the point. It should be about lighting fires under butts, not about talking about all your advertisers.
Yeah. So we do the Global Game Jam every year, and holy hell, is that a snooze fest in the opening ceremony?
So many ads.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like
I'd rather be
it's
dead than go to
literally.
another
I mean,
one.
yeah, it's literally it's a 2-hour long opening, and the whole time is like a teaser. It's like the theme's coming.
Didn't we actually just as soon as we actually left early this year?
This year we went.
We were there for like 20 minutes and we were like, what the fuck?
We're
And
like,
then we just left and we texted our
somebody.
audio guy. We were
Yeah.
like, tell us what the theme is whenever you get it. And he was like, and then a couple minutes later, he was like, waves. We're like, great,
Yeah.
thanks.
And so we organized a thing locally called the Scatter Jam, which was run kind of like the Shenana Jam actually, but we kept the opening ceremony at 10 minutes. So we get in there. We had sponsors. We're just like, thanks to these people, we put up a slide with their logos on it, and then we moved on. Then announced the theme. So understand why people are there.
Yeah.
And don't drag shit out.
Yep.
Respect
So,
their time.
I think providing a good communal space is fantastic. So
Yeah.
whether it's Discord or whatever sort of, as it goes, chat, that's absolutely a necessity.
And I think trying to organize stuff through it, because people won't just kind of hop into it, because people are generally afraid to come into a new community because of a long list of reasons. But some of it's just hurdle stuff, but a lot of it's just because they're like, I don't know those people. So if you just make it really easy and even essential actually to join that community, so that people just get in the door, because once they're there, they can also just ignore it if they want to.
They can just lurk.
They can just lurk. And actually, still most people just lurk, right? But it's fine, because even if you're just a lurker because you don't want to join the chat or whatever, you still get to feel like you're part of the thing by seeing all these other people talking.
Yeah.
So actually not just having it be there, but also really encourage,
Really funnel people into it.
Yep.
So, all right. Our next question comes from Vrolin. Hello. I just wanted to say thank you for introducing me to game jams, although I entered almost a day late because I was determined to listen to all of your podcasts until the present one, and I did not get up to date until the day of. So we started talking about the Shenana Jam on episode like 95-ish or something like that, 94.
So he's probably like, oh, that must
Probably
be coming up.
He's like, this is a nice podcast. And
then
then he heard about it during the Shenana Jam. So sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for participating. That's awesome. It was a first timer. That's good. So
Yeah.
good. Hope you do more.
Yes. All right. So next question comes from Marmadukian. How do you guys feel about one game a month?
One game.
One game.
Hashtag one game.
I think
That's a website. called
Right.
One Game a Month.
Yeah, so the hashtag is 1GAM,
Mm-hmm.
which is hilarious.
One game.
Yeah, one game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My answer is the same as always, which is depends why you're doing it.
Yep. If you're just building like repeatedly bad things, then maybe don't. But if you're taking the time,
what's the point?
Well,
And we
unless
talked about
they're
this-
getting better over time.
well, no,
Right.
that's
But it's
like,
fine.
well, that's everything needs to get better over time. So that's we sent out that the post jam email that included a bit about doing a postmortem about your jam.
And by the way, if
experience.
you didn't open that email, just please go read it.
Go read
it.
it.
Actually is full of useful.
Yeah.
This is a sort of a revolutionary idea that we have as a company.
Just to
But
send you useful things.
We try to send people useful things.
Yeah.
So we sent you a thing.
You should
Probably because there's something in there
look
that's
at
it's good.
yeah. So this the post jam email had this section about how to do a little postmortem for yourself, including basically some starter questions and then an example of some of my notes that I took from the jam while it was going on. So if you're engaging in something like one game a month, that's fantastic because you're getting more practice doing it. But it's only fantastic if you take some time after your one game a month
and evaluate what you did.
and say, okay, how did this go? How could I do it better? And also, what's the point? Because there's an interesting thing about just doing the one game a month thing. The question is, again, why? You can do one game a month.
It focuses on action, but not on analysis.
Right. So, and the thing
Which jams do just
jams do the
in
same
general.
thing. So one game a month is basically it's a month-long game jam. And the reality is that if you don't take the time afterward to think about everything that just happened and really sort of pour it in a good way toward the future, then there's no point in doing it.
So what about one game every other month? Where your intervening month is for working on larger projects, applying the lessons you've learned, and thinking about the previous month.
I don't
Or
care. I don't care
one
what
game
structure-
every other week,
Just think about it.
where a few days are spent thinking about your. Yeah.
Or maybe one
As long as
game
you
every
think about it.
Yeah.
maybe 6 games a day,
Yeah.
but every other
How
hour.
about this?
Right. Yes.
Hashtag 1TGAM, one thoughtful game a month. How's that?
Ooh.
Boom.
Because doing things without thinking
Is
is
pointless and dumb.
yeah. You might as well be a dog or something.
Yeah.
Which sounds
Actually,
pretty.
sounds pretty great.
They seem pretty happy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Actually, if you're happy not thinking about what you're doing, by
Go
all
for it.
means, keep at it.
yeah, just understand.
Just understand that
Understand
I don't want to buy the thing that you made.
Yeah, just don't publish it.
Yeah.
All right. Next question comes from Joste.93. Question from another developer. What's your opinion on game piracy and how do you handle it? Great podcast, guys. Smiley face.
Game piracy. You want to take that one, Adam?
Yeah, well, and we talked about this a fair bit on the podcast, so they kind of spread throughout. But I'm not going to force you to go back and listen to all of them to find out.
But you should,
what
though.
we said you should though, but that might also take you about 90 hours. I guess 100 hours.
And then you're going to
find
miss
it.
the next game jam.
But we've thought about piracy quite a bit, and for us, the question always comes down to, does it? Like I said, for a lot of this stuff does it actually impact us? What's the consequence of piracy to us? And the reason people are so gung ho about fighting it is because they believe that piracy basically takes away, sales of the game they're trying to make, or takes away something from the people who are playing the game. In that it gives them a sense of unfairness or something, right? We've kind of come to believe that it by and large doesn't matter, but that's not completely true. But for the most part, it doesn't matter because people who pirate games, we've actually found from our own data, are almost guaranteed to not buy our games, even if they can't pirate them.
Yep.
Which means it's a fully independent market. There's a piracy market.
It's
right?
a fully independent market of people who don't want the thing that you made, but they'll have it.
They'll have it, but they're not
They don't-
going
they don't really care
They're not
about
going to. They're not going to trade money for it, right?
Right.
But it's not even just people who don't care about it. It's also people who can't afford to buy it or whatever. There's many reasons that people pirate. It does seem like most of them do it just because they can, but there is also a subset who just don't have a choice and so on. And so we don't want to worry about like why or all that kind of stuff. We just want to say there are people who will not buy our stuff, but who will take it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the question is, given that they wouldn't buy it anyway, does it actually matter?
Yeah. So there's another interesting edge to it too, which is that if you provide really useful sort of community interaction points, like a wiki,
Right.
Someone who's a pirate might actually, they'll get it. There's not to say that they won't get into the game,
Or that they won't
necessarily-
provide some value to the
Exactly.
community. Yeah.
So that's the hard point about like you need to treat them like a separate market that just doesn't care, that's not interested in buying your thing, but they might still be a fan at the end of the day, which is the weird piece about it because they're still one of your players.
Yeah.
So, but also it's just, if it is frankly just fucking infuriating. Like when you look at your sales numbers and then you look at how many players you have with your analytics, and it's a tenfold difference on the people playing. Yeah. On the people playing who just like took the game.
You have 10 times as many pirates.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's an understandable sort of human reaction there, which is like, hey.
Yeah. Now, I mean, so I used to have that reaction, and now I absolutely don't at all. And a lot of it's also because to me, a pirate is the same as a free to play player in terms of like what they are to a studio, right? Because your average, and by average I mean 99% of your free to play players get your game, they play it. Most of those play it for 30 seconds and then never again. A subset of those who are left play it a lot and don't actually buy it, and they just suffer through ads or usually block them probably, right? But a pirate's actually the same deal. As most pirates are pirating a fuck ton of games. They're pirating everything. Like they have software on their phones that all it does is download pirated copies of games constantly, right?
Or they'll do a thing where they have the in-app purchase fraudulizer.
Yeah, they just
makes all the
purchases.
It's a program that just runs in the background. They boot up a game, and then this program just automatically buys every in-app purchase that it can.
Right.
So,
and just so you know
how that's an enjoyable experience for you.
And for those of you who didn't know this existed and now kind of want it, just so you know, if you do that on our games, it does know that you committed fraud.
It's really easy to detect. Actually.
Yeah, it's actually very easy to detect. But so it's this separate market of people. Most of them, even though you have 10 times as many of them, they don't give a fuck because they have infinite free games that they don't give a shit about, right? They haven't invested anything into this thing that we made, which means that sure there are 10 times more of them, but it's not 10 times more people who also like are playing the crap out of the game and getting all the value that we try to put into it and all that. Really, it's probably a very, very small fraction of that.
I think the making them akin to free to play players is a good way to go, right?
I think it's basically the same.
It's a 1% of everything.
But that's exactly it. Is all games are free to play because of piracy, right? Your pirating players are just the free players equivalent of a free to play game. There is really no important difference.
But so in that sense, it has the added benefit that there's a framing advantage.
Exactly.
Right? Which is like, if you make your game free to play, you owe those people like customer support and whatever.
Right.
You don't really
because
owe that
they
to
still
a pirate.
have a legit version of the game that they're not paying you for.
Right. You don't owe that to a pirate necessarily
at all. Yeah. And in fact, we have.
They might think you do, but you don't.
Right? Yeah, you don't. Well, like in our contact page, we even have a thing where if you're trying to submit a bug report or something, it actually asks you, did you pirate or hack the game? Because if you did, we're not going to provide support.
It throws your support request in the trash. Actually, it doesn't. I think it still comes to us.
It still doesn't, but the offer is still on the table for me to make it happen.
I like the idea, but I don't know.
But there is one real consequence, though, to all of this, which is that it does impact decisions that we make when we're making games. It adds constraints because we have to design games knowing that most people who play them are not paying for it. And the more enticing a game is, the more people who, when they steal it, will actually play it instead of just like play it for 10 seconds.
So we deliberately make our games worse to try to cut down.
Well, no, it's that we have to say what is the consequence? What happens if most of our players are not paying us for this game? And the thing that impacts the most is anything related to players doing stuff online. So real multiplayer at sort of the far end of that, where we have like lots of bytes that we have to keep track of and throw around, lots of processing and so on. Although hacking is a bigger deal than piracy for that, because hacking is what makes other people have a bad time. And so now all of a sudden there's a real consequence, because now one player's decisions and their behavior impacts the players who are actually investing in this thing that we made. And the fact is, even if it's two pirates playing against each other, if one of them is also hacking and making their person have a bad time, I would rather just two pirates play with each other. That would be
well. And here's the crazy thing: is if somebody hacks your game and that adversely so player A hacks your game, that adversely affects player B, who has a legit copy or whatever. Player B goes and gives your game 1 star, not because of the game, but because they had a bad experience. Because you, as a developer, didn't stop the hacker from ruining it.
So the reality is that there are actually quite steep costs to the fact
very steep costs.
Tons of people steal our shit all the time.
Yeah, but it's not on the side of people buying the game.
Correct.
It's kind of everywhere else. And then,
this is why we can't have nice things. This is why we can't have nice things. Idea.
But then it's also because doing multiplayer stuff is enormously expensive from a development standpoint and from infrastructure standpoint. Because if we want to have a true multiplayer game, then we either have to set up a systems to allow people to connect to each other directly, which is that's the strategy we're going to be trying to take, so that we don't have to manage all the data that's being sent. But we also have to manage. So that just has a high cost. But we also have to manage then hacking, at least to some extent. People have to be able to report each other in some way. But we also have people who are neither hackers nor pirates who create other enormous problems, because if we provide tools to use to like report a hacker, right, who's ruined a game experience, people will just use it on everybody.
Yep.
Because
this is the person coming into Discord and just dunking emojis on
Yeah.
everything. It's like
Because-
some people just want to see the world burn.
yeah, it's just this general anarchy, right?
Right.
And but also they'll use it as a suppression tool, because people hate losing, even
Yep.
you know. So when they lose, they want to make sure they have some way to have revenge, right?
This
And
actually
if they can report somebody for it, then that's what they'll do.
Yeah, so Overwatch had this problem where you could blacklist a player and say, I don't want to play with this person. And
Right. People
people would use this to make sure they didn't play against people who were good.
Yeah.
And so there were a few people who were like, professional tier who
Mhm.
just had a harder and harder time getting into matches, because also playing against good players lowers your matchmaking, right?
Right.
Because you lose.
Mhm.
And so people didn't want to. People want to seem good at the game by having a high rating, but they don't want to actually
They
lose
didn't want to
matches,
actually
right?
be good.
Yeah, they want
Right.
to actually be good. They just want to have a good rating.
And it's important to
So-
know that actually it's, I don't think it's most, but it's a large fraction of people are exactly like this. And so,
Well, it's like if you play Rocket League, if
Yeah.
you go into the normal matches, if people come into your game and they see that you're down by a point, they just leave.
yeah,
Because
and
like
they
it's
do it
only
at about
it's
half
only
the time.
worth. Yeah, I've played most of the time when I play a normal Rocket League match, I will have up to 6 teammates in a 5-minute game in a 2v2 match.
Yeah.
Right.
Because my one
Just
teammate will
rotating
come in, leave, another
Right.
person comes in, leaves, and it's like just a revolving door.
Right.
Because for some reason, people have this idea that even in an unranked match, it's only worth playing if you're winning.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're not winning, then why bother?
Yeah.
Right.
And
Which is a little
and for especially for competitive multiplayer, it might even be most people are like this, right? Which then makes it really difficult for us to have nice things, because we have to figure out how do we design this game so that people can just play a full game, so that when people beat others fairly in a competition, they aren't the other players don't somehow break the game as a consequence, right? And I mean, and so we have to design our games and any multiplayer system we come up with. We have to design all of this around those facts. We have to find out how to make something that allows for that behavior, because you can't get rid of it. It's just a fact of existence, right? And so we have to. It becomes a series of design constraints. So piracy, hacking, all these things dramatically impact the kinds of games we make, because we also can't make a game that is really costly for us in internet resources from servers running and stuff. We just can't do that, because we know that most of the people playing our game are not helping us pay for the costs of those resources. And it's enormously risky to us if we make a really popular game, if we're so lucky, that also costs us money per user.
Mm-hmm.
It's hugely risky. And so we have to do everything we can to not actually do that.
Yeah, I know for a fact that we've lost probably at least a good week of time to handling support requests or other requests from people who turned out to be hacking the shit out of their games.
Yep.
That sent us on wild goose chases and stuff. And the reality is, of course, that for those of you who do pay for our games and do fund future development of other cool games, that should probably make you pretty angry.
Right.
Because the reality is
that means you get less stuff from us.
Yep.
Yeah.
that we're a week behind.
Yep.
on
Yeah.
something.
Piracy actually, because of its impacts on developers, piracy and hacking both. And again, I would actually say hacking is
worse, honestly. Yeah.
And I know it's funny because a lot of people, like, if you're hacking a single player game and then never complain about how you
whatever.
fucked everything up
Right.
and want us to fix it, I don't give a shit. Like,
Do
whatever you want, right? But the moment you hack a multiplayer experience, or the moment you ask for a support request because of something that you changed, you have now made it so that fewer games come out over time, and that the games that do come out are different than they otherwise would have been.
Yeah, because
which-
time is the most precious resource, and that's what you're taking away.
That's what you're
from the
taking
dev
away.
team.
And so if you as a person who's trying to who thinks that, like, oh, this stuff is harmless and so on, it might be if you do it in a way that actually
It's
is
harmless in the sense that nobody's dying.
Yeah. But it does have a real impact, and that real impact actually just comes right back on you, the player, right?
Mhm.
Or on your fellow players, or on you because other players are doing it, or whatever. It impacts us a lot in terms of it slows down development time enormously. Like, the reason that everything on the website and multiplayer and all that, the reason all that stuff takes a lot of time and is hard is not because doing it is hard. It's because of the sheer volume of security features we have to put in, because people want to break it.
Here's the thing that bums me out about hacking, though.
Hmm.
I just wish people were more creative about it.
Yeah.
Because like the behavior of a hacker in Crashlands is so predictable
Right. You can
That-
there's a
that
signature.
we actually put together a script. It's like 15 lines of code that we now run anytime somebody sends us a support request and we pull their save down. We run this very simple check, and it's just like a thumbs up, thumbs down. It's like, yeah, they hacked.
Yep.
Like it's so because like everybody's just hacking in the exact same way. They're doing the same thing.
Well, they're using the same tools and they're doing it for the same reason, right?
Yeah.
It's
Like,
yeah.
Can we not get a support request where somebody's like, so I turned my character into a pot of coffee.
And I also made the game multiplayer, and it works.
Yeah, and it works, but I have this weird bug. You know, like that never happened.
That'd be
It's-
interesting.
Yeah.
It's always somebody just like, I gave myself 30,000 bombs and everything broke. It's like, well, yeah.
And then my favorite one, I also set time to negative time.
I set time. I made the time negative.
Why?
Yeah. Just as a note, if you're going to hack Crashlands, don't do that. 'cause
Although we did actually in an update make it so that time can be negative.
time
if
can
things
be
work.
negative. Yeah. But don't expect things to respawn because things respawn, you know, based on the timers of the game. And if you set time to like negative 1,000, that's a long time in the past now, and nothing's going to respawn. So, you know, again, don't be weirded out if you hack the game and things stop working.
Yeah, it had some complications, but yeah. But so I guess the short answer then is I think we're in a very healthy kind of mental space about piracy, where we just know it's a fact. It's a fact of being, and we're not trying to compete with it, which is what a lot of studios do. They try to put lots of DRM and stuff, mostly because we know we can't, and also because those very same people are the worst people in the world to make angry about something because
They got a lot of time.
because there's a subset of them. Again, many of them are just fine. They just do it because they can or whatever. But there's a subset of them who really do want to watch the world burn. That's basically their life goal. And even though there aren't that many from a fraction perspective, the
There's
number
enough.
of them is fucking enormous. And the last thing in the universe we want to do is give them a reason to just come at us. Because now all of a sudden our time is even more so not going to making games, but instead going to defending our personal lives from God knows what
Yeah.
horrible
You
thing
generally
they're
don't want
trying
to
do.
antagonize any community
No, you do not.
because they're a community and they all.
Or
there's a lot of
importantly, do things that to them are antagonizing, right? Because if all we do is block piracy in an effective way, which doesn't seem like it should be an antagonization, right? It actually is to that community of people.
Yeah. Because how dare we? All
Yeah,
right.
so we would rather just design games differently so that it doesn't impact us or our honest paying players when people do pirate or hack the game.
which is a hard thing to do, but we'll
It's
try.
very hard to do, but that's how we have to do it.
All right, next question comes from Anonymous. How did you guys meet?
It's hilarious.
Well, it was a long time ago.
First, I was born.
Yeah.
Then a little while later, all of a sudden, Seth was also.
Yeah.
And weirdly, to the same parents.
Yeah. That's the
And
kicker.
We were also, and then we lived in the
M. Night
same
Shyamalan
house.
couldn't have written this script
Yeah.
No, it's very
But
complicated.
then, get this.
Yeah.
Then also Sam was born.
Yep.
to those same
The
parents.
same parents.
Yeah, which the odds, I mean, if there's 7 billion people in the world, and the odds of the three of us being born to the same parents are super low.
Right.
You know,
This is clearly fate.
so it's a
That we all
statistical.
ended up in the same game studio. I mean,
Yeah.
how weird is that?
If you
right?
took any random sampling of 3 people in the world out of
Yeah.
the 7 billion, the odds of the 3 of them being siblings is
It's true, actually. Very low.
astronomically.
Unless it's like that birthday paradox where it's actually like a 1 in 10.
It's actually, it's actually like 1 out of 3 people are just they're each other's brothers or sisters.
just by chance,
Just
we
by
put them
chance.
in the same room. Which is a great way to illustrate how statistical fallacies come into being.
How numbers are stupid.
Yeah.
All right.
They can be misleading.
Next question comes from Kulabula, who said, "Any chance of Adam making a robot tutorial? Hey, why don't you show the world how to
Wait. Is it a tutorial for robots?
Or a robot that builds
A
tutorials.
robot that builds tutorials, or a tutorial about?
Well,
making
here's the
robots?
thing. If you made a robot that builds tutorials, that robot could also make a tutorial about how it was made.
That's
so then
true.
you've already solved the
But
problem.
presumably only if it wants to, I guess. Which means I have to program that desire into it. So then really, I guess I made it all along.
What is my purpose?
So there are a few tutorials that I want to make. There are the stuff that I do has some sort of weird complications to it. In particular, a lot of it is on the web, running servers and that sort of thing, which means there's a lot of private, Butterscotch data that's just like part of that.
So you would have to sort of make a separate
So
tutorial
it'd have to
server.
exactly, and then like obfuscate some stuff, which might make it harder to understand. So there's some complexities I have to figure out how to.
And you're
work
working
around
in
first.
multiple programming languages
And
at
operating
once
systems
and operating
Yeah.
systems.
So there's a lot.
It's
of,
not the same as just opening up Game Maker and making a spaceship move
A lot
around.
more
Right.
dimensions.
It's a little bit different, but if I can get like OBS or something running on my Linux machine, because that's where I do all my fun Linuxy development, that might work. And even if not, I can still I can still do stuff on Windows. It's just very aggravating. So,
I think the biggest thing is also that we finally have the equipment to do it, and we're going to set it up a little bit better so it's easier for us to actually make these videos.
Once it's easy to make these videos, then all of a sudden a lot of the barriers kind of go away. And
so just so you know, so we have all of our desks are in basically a two rows of 3 desks that are smashed together,
all glommed together.
And for Seth to make his tutorial videos, he had to move the green screen from
the recording dungeon
into the office. Mm-hmm. Basically take up the entire row.
And to do it on a weekend because it annihilated the entire office area.
So we need to get that fixed so that this is just easier. So like I can come down and be like, oh, let's put together an Inkscape tutorial.
Yeah, anybody needs to be able to just jack their laptop in to the recording studio.
We saw the value. That's where we're getting that going.
But there's a question when it comes to robots, though, which is that all robots are made to solve a specific, very specific problem.
So what problem do you want to see solved?
Yeah. So there's not really like a generic robot, right? But there's lots of stuff that I could do videos on, like doing Node, putting up servers that are doing stuff for you, where the task itself doesn't really matter.
What are they?
There's that kind of stuff that we could do that's sort of in the general case, but there's not exactly like how to build a robot.
Yeah, because a robot isn't just a robot; it's a thing that solves a problem.
Yeah. So it's really how to solve problems.
A robot that doesn't solve a problem is scarcely a robot at all.
Mm-hmm. So I guess my approach was going to be to say to instead of kind of focusing on like how to make a specific thing is to make some videos about using Node, using Docker, containerizing things, how to design programs that have lots of moving parts, so that you could then use that to make a robot. Because I think that's probably the only way.
Right.
To do it.
People are gonna have to fill in some blanks on that one.
Yeah, but we could also do some stat stuff and things too, right? Because a lot of what robots are doing is parsing data and retrieving things, and so being able to talk about web scraping and how to be respectful of other people's servers, because that's a thing that I learned a while ago on accident, because I just hadn't crossed my mind. At some point I wanted some data, and so I wrote a little robot and just had it like blast Google for a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And
all of a sudden I got IP banned from Google for like 4 hours, right? Because they saw and I was using Python, and Python self-reports as Python, right? And so presumably Google saw a whole bunch of clearly a robot, because it was like, hey, I'm a robot, right?
Hey Google, I'm a robot. Mind if I?
Yeah, and hitting them like every 10 milliseconds or something for a web page, which is not normal behavior from a browser,
right?
And they were just like, oh no, we'll just turn that off. But then I've learned now that we're running our own servers, I also don't want people doing that to us. And for certain future things when it counts, I will be putting in defensive measures that prevent it, because now I've done that.
Put in a heat shield.
So there's stuff like this that you wouldn't know until you do it, which would be also fun to have as part of a tutorial series. So I'm cooking something up, but I don't know what it's going to be exactly.
A little more complicated.
Yeah. And speaking of tutorials, we got another question from Vrolin, which says, Seth, I love your good programming tutorials. Any chance you will make one to show us how you do programming animation in GameMaker? Probably.
Sure.
And I'll put that on my list. I'm also going to be writing up a tech blog post soon, and we'll be linking to that. And that's going to be on that very topic of how we do some of our programming animation. So stay tuned.
It'll also be kind of cool, because since Seth now has a full suite of scripts and things to manage the way that he does animation, it'd also be kind of cool just to show that in action, be like, now once you have this system in place, what does it look like when you say, I'm going to make a game where
here's what this could look like.
Here's how quickly and rapidly I can actually now animate something.
Yeah. And actually one of the things that has been keeping me from doing the tech blog post was having a sort of like easily accessible character that we can show to people that is big enough that I can use it. But we now have the troll from Snuppy. Yep. Yeah. So I think I'm just going to use the Snuppy troll. Yep. So
everybody loves trolls.
Yeah. All right. So the next question comes so we have a couple sort of art/design questions. One comes from Retro Banana Man NL, which again is the poor fellow lost his Banana Man license. He's a non-licensed Banana Man. How did you come up with the shapes of the monsters in Crashlands? Was there any idea on what they should look like, or did you make them all up during drawing the monsters?
So
what's the process?
Yeah, so my process is very different than
everyone's.
The other people's process, in that I just get into Inkscape and then just start working on stuff, and it's always design driven. So rather than starting with a drawing and then saying, how do I convert this into Inkscape, I say, okay, for the Wampet, for example, in Crashlands, the first enemy in Crashlands, which looks like a sort of cow hippo with one leg. The whole point of that thing was to have a creature that would stomp on people, because we decided that it needed an AoE attack, and if that was attached to the body, it'd be easier for people to like punch it more repeatedly. So
because early game, we wanted to make it
it was something
easy way to start combat.
Yeah. So that was the point. And then I don't think I even marker boarded anything. I think I just started building an Inkscape and started putting this thing together.
You probably just start with the leg even, because you're like, it's got to stomp.
I always start with the eye for some reason.
Oh yeah.
So for some reason, getting the eye nailed down, just like the best thing to
Sets
do.
the tone.
Because it's such a small piece.
But it's the thing that makes something feel alive, right? So,
Yeah.
So now it's like alive and it's got character, so you can.
So basically, what you're saying is it starts looking at you.
It starts looking at you.
Inkscape, and you're like, tell me your secrets.
Yeah. So yeah.
do
So
you ever
start
feel
with
like
the
its
eye.
soul is screaming as you just
I mean,
sort
probably
of
most
warp
of them
it?
are pretty weird things. But yeah, so actually one thing that I would do, I forgot about this, but I would grab later on in Crashlands development, when it came time, we were like, oh shit, we just need 6 creatures, now. So build those. What I would actually do to start is just go and look at the previous creatures, grab an eye that I liked, that I thought was good for whatever this thing was, and then just put that on there. I was like a placeholder eyeball while I worked on the rest of it. So
It's got to have an eyeball.
yeah, so I would actually just throw shapes in, usually a circle, because we have circular collision masks, so it's useful. Throw a circle down and then just start like bending the shit out of it in Inkscape. And at some point I'd be like, this looks good, whatever that means. It's got an eye on it, sounds good. Put a mouth on it if it has one. If it doesn't, whatever.
Perfect. Less things to draw.
Yeah, Tifa made a hilarious observation actually, which is that I don't draw noses basically ever.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's one of the secrets of Woe Nope.
No one has noses.
It turns out nothing really smells like anything on that planet. So
Or maybe
nobody-
they just use their ears to smell. I mean,
Well,
they've already got holes.
There
Why
are
not just-
occasionally
multitask.
nostrils, but no like
the
no
10 drum
fully-
have noses.
They do.
And I remember you made that 10 drum and I was like, could that not have a nose? Like, can we remove that? Because I was like, something about it felt
wrong.
like it wasn't supposed to be there.
Well, so
That's probably
comically,
because nothing else has a
like Hardick from Talfight
he
doesn't have a nose.
Yeah, well, comically, on Saturday, Tifa was putting together the snail puppy, the Snuppy, from this game jam game we did, and she drew it, and I was like, something's wrong with that. I was like, get that nose off. And she did it, and then it looked good.
It just noses.
And then just
Man.
today, she sort of realized that apparently I just don't like noses. So never put a nose on something, because it's just like, I don't want to deal with that. You don't need a nose.
Yeah.
You just need an eye. Like this, the thing that makes something alive is an eyeball.
But I think also when we're talking like cartoon art and stuff, and especially when you're doing kind of going into the grotesque and want to be able to make things be really weird, eyes and noses look the same on cartoons.
Yeah.
There's just like a dot.
A black
There's like a
dot,
black
right.
dot, right? And so I think I know certainly I think for me anyway, but maybe it's also what your kind of reaction to is that as soon as there's also a nose and an eye, like now
It's redundant, you know?
Well, it's not just redundant, it's actually, it
It's
causes
too real.
confusion.
Yeah.
Because then now you look at it and now you have to decide what that part is.
That's exactly what happened, actually, because that snail that she had originally made, the nose drew so much attention
Yeah.
that it looked
Right,
like
'cause
either an
probably 'cause it
eye
has
or a
little
mouth.
It has little eye stalks coming up.
Yep.
But then
Which
they're
could
far
also
enough
be
away
horns
from,
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like, is this a cyclops screaming at me? I don't know what this is.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess all to say that I just get into Inkscape and then start going. It's not necessarily a good way to do it, though. And this is an important note, which is that Tifa's basically been teaching me how to actually sketch beforehand, which has led to actually some better designs in game, because I get to explore some ideas before getting sort of feeling locked into something. So it really depends on what your approach is. The shape point is the interesting one, because that's the thing that determines the tone of everything. So if it's supposed to be something cuddly, then you don't make it sharp looking, right? Don't use corners, don't use triangles, that sort of thing.
If it's friendly, don't make it a red spike covered in blood.
Yes.
Like, it's a friendly murder spike.
Although I bet Tifa could make a really friendly looking murder spike.
Oh yeah. Tifa can
Yeah,
make
that's
anything
true.
look
That's true.
really friendly. So
It's a talent.
so yeah, I think that's the approach should just be to create as much as possible, and whatever lets you do that the fastest, because that'll help you figure out what your process is for doing this stuff. Mine is very different than everybody else's, so I feel like it's probably not good for me necessarily to speak on it.
Well, but it is. I think the advantage is
It's good to know about different processes.
The advantage is that it's built around function,
Right.
and so
It's
when
design focused.
Yeah, so when coming to the
and tech limitations.
yeah, but I think saying it's design focused is a little bit too airy, because thinking about like design.
What is design?
But if you think about it
Sure.
in terms of its function, in terms of how this thing goes into the game, because I even think about it's like the Bamley The Bamley actually turned out from an art standpoint. We were like, yeah, it's gonna do kind of like the Wampet. It's gonna like fly up in the air and stomp. But then we added the electric stuff later because we were like, shit, it's way too much like the Wampet, right? And so because all we wanted to do is from an art perspective, we said it flies in the air and stomps, and so you put those fins on it,
right?
So it could slap the ground and launch itself, but it still didn't feel much different. So then we just threw electricity on top of it. We're like, now it's an electric wall.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, the way the creatures end up sometimes also kind of gives a different perception of what it was. Because by throwing electricity onto it or like a poison cloud or something, even though that may not even be present in the art, it still carries through into the final version of the creature. So,
my favorite thing too is if you make something that's just really vicious but that is adorable, then people have a really incredible reaction to it. So Teemo from League of Legends is just the best example of this. Where that character is just this little adorable like Boy Scout with a blowgun, and you're like, oh, he's so cute, and he sounds adorable, and then they refer to him just as Satan. He's just Satan because, and I think it's actually the conflict between his image and what he does that just like makes you angry at him. So that's
actually
also
Enter the Gungeon does a good job of that too, right? Because everything's about guns and bullets and literally everything, which is if you want to look at good, like through and through design choices,
or perhaps overly done,
or maybe
drive, yeah.
I was like literally everything is a bullet,
the castle is a gun.
The castle's a gun.
This is the first boss is a seagull though,
toting
with a Gatling gun. It's the wing,
the wing gull,
the Gatling gull.
Yeah, Gatling gull.
Gatling. Yeah.
And but through and through, it's that same decision. So it's a good example. But everything is cute.
Yeah.
Also,
cute.
right? Like the bullets are like they're coming after you and shooting you. Also with more
but
bullets.
They toddle.
but they like toddle and they got these cute eyeballs and faces. And so it's good. That contradiction makes that art style. It's like the fact that they just took this horrible thing, things that murder other stuff using guns, but then made it all cute and then took that all the way through.
That's the key point is if everything in the game was like hardcore blood murder, blah, blah, blah. And then for some reason there was this one like enemy that was an adorable bullet that shot bullets at you. You'd be like, what?
What is this doing?
This
is Dark Souls.
This doesn't make any sense.
That's actually part of like with the Teemo problem actually is because it's kind of the only thing that really does that,
Yeah. I mean, they've done it a little bit with other characters, but I think it's because all of his skills involve like insidious ways to kill someone, which is poisoning them or having them step on a landmine. When you're like, he's across the map, he doesn't give a shit. You just like you walk into a bush and die because he's Satan. So I think it has to do with the mechanics as well. But I think engineering first, I think is almost the art approach that I take, which is not standard practice.
I think it's the combination of the adorableness and then the fact that he causes uncontrollable, unpredictable deaths.
Yeah.
Much like Satan. So
yes, right.
All right. So next question comes from The Brick, which is I think the third cousin of The Rock.
Yeah.
So The Brick said,
the Concrete is the second cousin.
Yeah.
I think, and then.
Yeah. I just watched the Do What You Want talk by Seth, and I have a question. I love all of your guys' games, but they can suck my time away. How does your work ethic unite with creating video games? And how do I keep a game life balance? So the question is, we're always talking to people about, hey, have control over your time,
and then we
while simultaneously throwing things at them that are going to suck all their time away. Well, I think here's how I square this. I don't actually view this as a contradiction or anything because the core messages that we try to get across to people is to be deliberate with your time and your energy, right? So don't allow yourself to mindlessly fall into, behaviors that you lose control over. And so when it comes to games or whatever, as long as you know what you're trying to get out of it and do it on purpose, then you're fine. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even if that's like, I'm going to go binge watch The Bachelorette.
Yeah. But the thing is like make an event out of it.
Yeah.
Don't binge watch it every single day for
on accident.
6 months because that's just what you do,
right.
Do it on purpose, make a decision, go after it.
I mean, it is still the case that anytime a new Fallout game comes out, I am going to just spend a weekend on it.
Yep.
That's just what's going to happen.
That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah. My wife and I we're going to sit down. We're going to get our laptops out. We're going to get some wine and some snacks. And that's the weekend, right?
Anytime a new Terraria patch hits.
Same deal.
My wife do.
Yep.
Gotta do it.
But there's a reason for that, which is that this is a thing we get to celebrate enjoyment of together, and you don't have to do that with another person either, right? You can just do that yourself too. Where you just say like, this is a thing that I value because I think it's really fun. It's a thing that, or it's got some nostalgia pull on it that I get to then go refeel, and then just making an event out of that thing.
This is just like the one game a month thing, do it, but do it thoughtfully.
Yep.
Don't be a dog person.
Yep.
Right? All right. Next question comes from Kulabula, who says, I don't want to show people images from my game.
Okay.
Because they might steal it.
Untrue.
Do you ever feel like that making a game? Like you want to show it, but then you don't want to show it,
I don't.
That's the question.
So we've gone to a point, we used to think that, I think, with a few of our early games. And then we realized as we got further in that it's basically just not the case that people are looking for game ideas to steal, because the game making is not the hard part, as we've discussed many, many times. The reason we don't want to show people images now is actually because of marketing.
Yeah.
That's why we don't want to show people pictures.
Yep.
I don't care.
We want to build up hype in the best way possible.
Yeah, and I also know what our product is, because the reality is that because of how we build stuff and our design philosophies and stuff, the game shifts a lot over time, and so do the visuals up until maybe halfway through dev. And so if we start a little bit too early, then we might accidentally seed the wrong ideas in or not be able to take turns. So we actually don't think about it from a people stealing stuff standpoint, but rather from a giving us a hard time on the marketing front.
It's still the case that a lot of times when people write up blog posts or something about Crashlands, they use GIFs from
the first
halfway
ones
through development, or like a quarter of the way through development, where we had systems in the game that don't even exist. The environments were completely different. Everything was different.
I cringe every time.
Yeah, people are like, look at this game. And then they post a GIF that is nothing in that GIF is in the game. The character isn't there. Nothing is there.
Yeah. So the reality is people don't want to steal your stuff. That's basically it.
Some people do, but it's unlikely that those same people can actually execute it and then publish something.
Right. Well, here's the thing. There's the one high profile case that we know about, which is the Vlambeer one, which is ridiculous fishing.
Well, I know of two, but we'll do that one first.
Yeah. So in ridiculous fishing's case, they posted video or screenshots, something like that, before they were done dev. And then someone built a game called Ninja Fishing, which was just the exact same game, but basically reskinned.
That they ninja'd.
They did Ninja, which is
pretty
hilarious.
Yeah.
Good on them for pulling that theme all the way through.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the one case I know. Which one are you talking about?
I'm thinking about Flappy Bird 2 specifically. So there's a person who we know who is a game reviewer, but who also has a hobby of cloning other people's games. And this person, when Flappy Bird was on the App Store, this person made a game and called it Flappy Bird 2. And again, I can't believe this person is a game reviewer. But anyways, they called it Flappy Bird 2 because everybody else was trying to make Flappy Bird clones. They were just called like Jumpy Goat or, whatever, and just like throw those two kinds of words together, but still clone the concept. Other people would call it like Flappy Fish or, whatever. And this guy just decided he was going to steal the name, put a 2 on it, and pretend like it was the sequel. And so a bunch of people started playing it, but then he got lucky because the creator of Flappy Bird panicked with all the success, pulled Flappy Bird off of the store. And then Flappy Bird 2 was then the next top result when people searched for Flappy Bird. And it was just a straight clone anyway. Right. So people got what they wanted, which was to play Flappy Bird. So like those are the kind of circumstances. And this was after the game was out, right? So this is a little bit further along than the idea of like I don't want to show people my game in pre-production, right? But I think it does stand to reason that the simpler your game is, the more you have to just be thinking about this possibility.
Yeah, because if it's really easy for someone to just build the game that you're making in like a weekend.
Yeah, so Flop Rocket. There is an you right now, if you have Unity, you can go into the Unity asset store and buy a $15 package called Cloney Rocket that somebody rebuilt Flop Rocket in Unity, which by the way is a terrible idea because Unity's a 3D engine and Flop Rocket's 2D game. I don't know why you would do this, but you can. And so you can buy somebody else's version of our game and all the source code for $15. Because Flop Rocket is a really, really simple game to put together. So, but
their clone is worse though.
Their clone is worse. It's 100% worse. Which is also the point that nobody's cloned Crashlands.
Yeah.
Because it's a big ass game. And so the more action oriented, the simpler the mechanics are, the easier it is to clone.
Do you think people are going to clone Snuppies before we get it out?
No.
I don't think they're fast enough.
Yeah. Because we're going to be operating on that shit full time.
Yep.
And unlike ridiculous fishing, it's not going to take us a year to put this thing together.
Right.
So,
well, but even if it did, like a lot of it has to do with what kind of personality and storytelling you make the game, right? Because it is while it's not illegal at all to steal a game idea and make it, because ideas, and we always say and believe that ideas are worthless anyway, right? How you actually make it actually is a thing you can own. And how it looks, right?
Right.
So if we have, nobody else can publish under Butterscotch Shenanigans, right? Nobody else could publish with a title of like Crashlands, for example, because that's trademarked.
And it's hard to hit our art style.
It's very hard to hit our art
that's in
style.
the games and everything.
Yep. And actually, because ours is so unique, the closer you get to it, the more likely it is that we can come after you for infringement.
Yep.
Right? which is not true if you're making like pixel art, for example, like Ridiculous Fishing. With Ridiculous Fishing, you can't. Like you can tell it's a Vlambeer game if you really know Vlambeer games, right? Because they do have a style. But if you're
mostly in things like there's
screen shake,
and
But if you're an average consumer, every pixel game looks the same, and so you can't tell the difference between two games about shooting fish with machine guns that are pixel art. You just really can't. But you will be able to tell the difference between Snuppies and Guppies, the multiplayer Guppy wrestling the card game, right?
Flappy Snups.
Flappy Snups. You'll be able to tell the difference. So even if somebody gets it out before we do, right? And then we launch our game shortly after, no one's gonna care. We live in a separate market actually, because our art style is so unique, and we have a universe that our stuff lives in, and then we have stuff like Butterscotch ID where we can. There's basically stuff that is just ours. That's clearly Butterscotch stuff. And so now it actually just doesn't matter if people steal our things anymore.
Because it's because they're not stealing our thing. They're just making something else.
They're just making something else.
It's not going to be as good. It's going to be totally different.
Exactly. They just can't actually steal it. It's not possible. And again, if they do, it is just illegal.
Right.
Right. To get to the point where it impacts us, it's just illegal. Right. And then while the stores mostly don't care about anything, they will act on, if too slowly, but they still will act on infringement.
So I guess your real defense is to make something unique.
Yep.
Or not necessarily the thing, but make it uniquely. So that it's hard.
Which is what you should be doing anyway, because that's how you can actually market it and successfully sell it.
All right.
So I would say if you're really worried about somebody stealing your work, you should actually move that worry to a different place, which is that you aren't making a thing that's really commercially viable, if that's your goal in the first place.
All right, so our final question of episode 100. Congratulations, guys! By the way, episode 100.
We're not at an hour 40 yet, though, right? Because
we're at an hour 30.
Okay,
so we're riding this down to the wire. Question comes from French Toasty.
Nice.
I don't always like school, so I consider that work. I like programming, so I don't consider that work.
Correct.
Is it reasonable that I might consider school to be more work, even though I am technically doing more work programming?
Your definition of work is getting slippery.
Yeah, you got to. What I think that's important, right? Because people have a slippery definition of work, and they mostly mean it to mean basically a chore that I don't like.
Right.
When we say work, we actually mean
you're doing
the
stuff.
thing we like to do. Yeah. But we also often just sometimes say that's just work, though, right? Mm-hmm. Referring to things we don't want to do. So we also use it in a kind of a slippery way.
Yeah, it's tough to ride that line.
Yeah.
But your work should be something you do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, school is more work for you than your work is for you.
Yeah,
assuming you're
you mean it's bad.
Yeah.
I would just what I would do, and what I try to do also just consciously is change those words to be chores and work. So work is a thing that I throw my being into and I'm trying to get better at and actually enjoy, even when it gets rough, because it does, but still enjoy it because of what I'm trying to get out of it. And chores are just things that have to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way to get around it. There's just a thing that has to be done that I have not figured out a way, though I have tried to pull some value out of. And you will find though that if you take that appropriate mindset, you can turn anything that is a chore into work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like when I do the dishes, it's actually just work now. It's not actually a chore. Because I find it nice to peacefully kind of.
You figured out how to think about it.
Exactly.
It's meditative time.
Exactly.
Time to do some dishes.
And actually most chores once you turn them to work, you do that just by making them meditative.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad I get the opportunity to walk around my yard for an hour
Do some weeding.
pushing a mower around because I get to think about things.
Listen to music. Listen to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe listen to Coffee with Butterscotch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you probably already are if you're hearing this. So
Not likely. But
All
maybe
right.
not while mowing, though.
Well, I can
I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got electric
because I
mower?
use scissors, so that takes a while. All right, so that's all we got for episode 100.
That's a
Hope you
long
enjoyed the extra 30. I'm getting hoarse. My throat is hurting. So, anyways,
He's also tearing up a little bit because it's just
tearing
so
up.
impactful.
I'm
that we
tearing
made
up
it to-
in my throat.
Yep, from
Gross.
100
That's
episodes.
just salivating, though.
But seriously, thanks everybody for being with us.
Yes.
for this.
It's been a hell of a ride.
Thing.
So here's to another 100 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'd like to thank our producer Fat Bard for making us sound good. That's always a nice thing. And we'd also like to thank the Butterscotch dev team, Andy, Tifa, and Sher, for continuing to build stuff while we're in here doing this thing. Special thanks to our community moderators who keep our Discord and forums up and running. And of course, we'd like to thank our listeners for coming back every week for 100 weeks to listen to us. It's super crazy. And if you want to get more involved in the Butterscotch community, you can, as always, hop into our Discord server at bit.ly/bsdiscord and come say hello. We're in there sometimes. A bunch of other random weirdos are in there. So just come say hi.
It's good people.
Yeah. Also, we don't advertise this show, so we depend completely on word of mouth and good reviews. So if you want to help us get this show on the road, tell people
but on
about it.
somebody else's road.
On somebody else's
It's
road.
already on your road, presumably.
Yeah. And of course, head on to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and give us some stars, hopefully 5 of them, or whatever the maximum number. So thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next week for episode 101. Woo. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.